Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of FoulkesBrau. Today is the 8th, Friday, the 3rd of April, 2020. Let's just bring up our latest stats. As we can see, for today we have, we have 1,462 infections. We have 7 deaths. That gives us our day-on-day growth of 5.94% increase. In other words, from yesterday, from 1,380 to today, 1,462, we had a 5.94% increase. That number is taken from News 24, the live news feed at 8:48 this morning. Tests, we've done 44,292. Now that number is highlighted because I can't actually believe it. That was a figure given on Wednesday evening, apparently. So we really can't take that number as gold. High infection rate, 3.3%. Population stays 60 million. Percentage of the population tested, 0.07%. Our mortality rate, because we have 7 deaths now, apparently 0.48. Now I can't believe any of these fucking numbers, and we'll get into that. There's a few things I want to talk about today. Obviously, if you're living in South Africa, you'll be very aware that the Santaka, the taxi organization, have pretty much bent the government over a barrel and told them, listen, fuck you and your half-passenger bullshit. We either carry full load of passengers or we don't carry anybody at all. And of course, our Minister of Transport, he jumped in and said, okay, taxi association, great, there you go. Now, for fuck's sakes, these people, do we know better than Italy, the States, and all these places, that we think, oh, fuck it, we're immune to this disease? We're not fucking immune to it. I've been listening to the traffic reports over this shutdown period, and it was brilliant because the first couple of days, oh fuck, there's a car stuck on Van Buren or somewhere in Joburg, and that's about all he could report for the whole day, no traffic. Now all of a sudden, with the fucking taxis that are allowed to do what the fuck they want, we have log jams of traffic again. Now, please, you are carrying this disease in mass around the fucking place. This thing is very, very contagious. And now the taxi organization think they're a bunch of fucking doctors. I mean, come on. This is fucking mind-boggling. South Africa doesn't know what the fuck is coming. If we really think that we know better than the rest of the world, well then fuck it. We must not die in mass. This is, it is just craziness. So, really, if our government has no control over the fucking taxis, then I don't know. What is also amazing is that our president gets up on the thing and says, total lockdown, only essential services, great. Now, I understand emergency services, nurses, people like that need to get to work. Well, fuck it, government, wake up and bring back public transport, like all this bullshit that you wasted our money on here in Gauteng, the Ria Vaya, those things. Run buses. Fuck, not taxis. Run the bus services, you should, or whatever, or make a plan. There's no excuse now that we can just get in a taxi and fuck where we want. It makes no sense to me because we're not defining how this works. Apparently now we can go to funerals as long as we don't exceed a gathering of 50 people. I mean, come on. You're defeating the purpose of the fucking lockdown. This thing is going to kill, regardless of race, creed, earning capacity, fucking what you've got in your bank account. This thing will kill you. It's not a white man's disease. It affects everyone. The scary thing is if you actually go and look at the stats of what happened overseas, yeah, great. You've got this little incubation period where a lot of people get sick and then they think, oh, okay, great. Oh, this thing is sort of, we sort of caught it. The numbers are flattening. And then all of a sudden it comes back and fucking murds you out the park. So, we're only into the second week now of this thing. And I expect these stats, if I'm looking at them, to get way, way worse. 2% to 5%, or almost 6%. That's threefold growth. Day on day growth. You don't need to be a mathematician to work out that. Hang on, in one day I've had 3 more times infections. Now, we can't rely on the testing because we don't know what the fuck these oaks are up to. But yeah, the taxis are just really a fucking bunch of twats. Really, they are going to get a lot of people sick. The other thing of interest that happened is the Western Cape government decided, great, you can now buy cigarettes. The Western Cape, now that's down there, Cape Town, that side. You can buy cigarettes with your groceries, and I think that's a good thing. The only thing that I would do is to prevent people from going out every day to buy a bloody packet of cigarettes with a loaf of bread, is maybe make it a minimum purchase. You need to buy, I don't know, 10 packets, whatever, and your minimum groceries, limit that as well. Lift the limit up so that you don't have people going out every day to buy a loaf of bread and a bloody packet of cigarettes. Now, I must admit, I am a smoker. I've got nothing against smokers. I've been listening to the radio yesterday and all these fucking holier-than-thou twits getting up and saying, oh, because you smoke, you're now creating secondary infection, blah, 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 blah. You're under lockdown. Right? Now, most smokers that I know, I can't, I don't have a wife, I don't have kids, I'm a bachelor, I live alone with 2 cats. But most smokers I know with families are not that fucking inconsiderate. If there's one smoker in a family, the woman or whatever, who'll go outside and smoke. The other people are not getting secondary cigarette smoke, so fucking get off your high horse and fuck off. You don't understand what it's like to be a smoker. So you holier than thou fucking little 1 million or whatever the hell you are in South Africa that want to jump up in your high horse, fuck off. Really. Your opinion is irrelevant. Okay? We have smoking laws in this country. You're not allowed to smoke in whatever workspace, this, that, so many meters from a building, so many fucking this, and now you want to bring it into a car if you've got kids and whatever. No, great, we follow those rules. If I go to a restaurant and it's non-smoking, I abide by the rules. And if the fucking restaurant has got a smoking room, even better, and then I go sit in the smoking room. But you fucking non-smokers come and sit in the smoking room as well, because now you want to be sociable. I didn't ask you to come in there, so fuck off. And the same with these fucking holier-than-thou idiots that want to now jump on the bandwagon and oh, smokers, it's good for you. Fuck off. Really. If I wanted to quit smoking, I would have. If I want to burn my money, it's got nothing to do with you. I work for it. So, it's going to be interesting to see how these oaks are going to fight whoever's going to fight the Western Cape, because I think they're going to roll it out to the rest of the country that, hang on, you're going to buy your groceries, you can buy cigarettes. I just think the way to control it would just be to discourage people from going out every day, is to say, hang on, when you're buying your groceries, you must buy a minimum amount so that you're not here every day, and the same thing added to the cigarettes. You must buy a minimum, excuse me, amount of packets of cigarettes. How difficult is that? So that you're not having people going backwards and forwards every day. The other interesting thing, breaking Eyewitness news this morning, Eskom has come back onto the fucking bandwagon and said, oh, during this lockdown period, we have now had a bunch of cable thefts and blah-de-blah-de-blah. This is going to cause problems. So we've had blackouts now. Nobody is supposed to be out and a fucking about. The army is supposed to be out there. The police is supposed to be out there. How the fuck are people going around and stealing cables and shit? Well, what is the army and the police doing? Looking the other fucking way. They're supposed to be patrolling, doing whatever. Please, someone answer. Anyway, I want to come back to our numbers thing. So these are the newspaper, well, news websites. Let's just bring that. We have Eyewitness News, we have News 24. And what is interesting, they talk about the testing and blah de blah de blah de blah blah blah. But what I want to draw your attention to is which one? Blah, 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 blah. Right. They talk about the tests, and I've read through this, and I actually saw a very interesting video this morning. I'm going to link it in at the end of this video, and please do take the time to watch this video. It's very important. It's a lady in the States. She has a PhD in genetics. Although she doesn't practice as a geneticist, she did a PhD in genetics. And she gives you a bit of a background into this thing, how it's hitting her community. I think she's in a small place out of just out of suburb borough, whatever you call it, of New York. Interesting enough, doesn't practice genetics, but what she does is she has a thing called iPad Rehab. That's her company. She employs and teaches younger people, there's more people that need it in her neighborhood, how to fix iPads and things like that. And quite interesting. But anyway, today she gives her thoughts, two thoughts about the testing and what goes on with this. And she explains quite a bit behind it, what they're doing, and how they test food, and how these tests are. I'm not a doctor, so, but basically how you go about developing tests for this, and whatever, and how it's currently working with the genetic testing and whatever they're looking for, and how because she buys a lot of spares from the States, how these Chinese people now given her like a do-it-yourself kit, and she now explains the pitfalls behind this. And this got me thinking, so I dug a bit, are we doing this do-it-yourself bullshit in South Africa? No, we're not. They are currently doing the whole genetic thing. But when you go and look at this, and we look at the numbers, and they say, where is it? Basically, they've turned around and said they can do 5,000 tests a day. That is what South Africa is capable of doing. I just want to find that highlight. Right, there we go. I'm just going to highlight that. Right now, the country is not conducting close to 5,000 tests today. Right there. In public labs, and private labs are conducting more than 4,000 every day, so whatever. But basically what these oaks are trying to do, to say, if we come a bit more down, the National NHLS, National Health Laboratory Services, had only managed to do about 6,000 tests since the first case was reported about a month ago, which is slightly higher than the number they claim to be able to do in a day. Over the past week, public labs have increased testing to around 570 a day. This is all fucking very confusing, because if we come back to our numbers, if they can do 500 a day, there's no ways we could have done 44,000 a day. If they can do 5,000 a day, close enough, 6,000 a day, roughly, then you'd have done 48,000 tests. So the journalism, the writers, it's all very fucking confusing. We don't know what the hell they're trying to say. So I'm going to say that they're doing roughly between 5,000 and 6,000 tests a day, right? And they're doing what they call this polymerase chain reaction PCR test. So they take a swab, they put it in a thing, and then they take it to the laboratory and they do their whole testing genetic stuff on it. So they are doing, from what I can understand from what this girl says, and what they're doing is tests. It sounds like they're doing the right thing. But what the fucking hell these idiots go on and they talk about getting a new diagnostic test, which is what this girl in her video goes on about. And she relates it to a pregnancy test. Now, I don't know how that works. I understand you pee on it. I'm not a woman, never been there, but I understand you pee on it. And then it will tell you whatever. So watch her video and pay attention to what she's saying about this thing, because it's got like something like I think her analysis was like a 60% hit rate. Now, fuck me, 60%, I'm 60% positive or I'm 40% unsure. No, you can't work with those odds. Either the test works or it doesn't work. You can't build a bridge, hit and miss. We've had enough shit in South Africa with that, so I don't really want to go into it. But you can't be, oh, I'm 60% positive that this is going to be right. It doesn't work like that in health, I hope not. It doesn't work like that in medicine, and sure as hell doesn't fucking work like that in engineering. So what we can be sure of is the government is doing this right at the moment. The South African government is doing it right, but they are not capable currently of doing more. There is an article on News 24 about these guys. They are kitting their mobile units, and it still hasn't got on the road yet properly, but they are kitting it with the PCR machine or whatever the hell they call it, to go and take the swabs and whatever, and then bring it back to the laboratory and do the test. It hasn't rolled out properly, but they are doing it properly at the moment. That's the main thing. Then the next thing I want to come to my rant is that our government has gone and said, okay, spaza shops, fucking you name it, you can practice as long as you have you can be open as long as you have a special permit and whatever, and you can now sell to people. And this got me thinking. We have a fucking failing airline that we've pumped billions of fucking taxpayers' money into, and the fucking chances of them rescuing this thing are zero. I don't believe that they can do anything with this except sell the fucking thing off, because it's gone too far down the hole. We haven't got billions of money, billions of rands to piss down the drain anymore with these oaks. I really suspect that the business rescue practitioners are going to come back and say, sell the fucking thing off and that's it. Pay the whatever debt you've got on it. Goodbye, SAA. All the money that they want to piss down the drain into this thing, why don't they take that and it's billions. If you look at what they go back every year, I want 12 billion rand here, or fucking this year, or 100 billion here. Take that money, put it into the UI fund, help these small to medium enterprises, and help these oaks. Pay them to stay the fuck at home. How much money can a spaza shop or whatever earn a day? And how many of them are? It's nowhere near the fucking billions you're pissing away on SAA. Take the money, pay those oaks, and fucking hire, I don't know, whoever from whatever food shop, go to the greengrocers, the potters that run the vegetable shops, and pay those oaks to go to the townships and give the neighborhoods the produce. It's still going to be cheaper than trying to fucking bail out SAA. So sometimes I don't know that we have our priorities right. Fucking taxis over on the government. Well, don't worry, these oaks are upset, so they can do what they want. These oaks are upset, so now we just relax this on the virus. This thing spreads quickly. There's no fuck around, and I think no. When you think it's too late, we have gatherings of people. This thing is going to snowball, and we're fucked. We don't have the moral capacity to keep up with this in South Africa. I don't believe we have that. We definitely don't have the crematorium facility to incinerate thousands of people a day. So the idea of being locked down is to slow the fucking travel of this thing down. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but if you read what these oaks are saying, why don't we listen to them? Who are we, politicians, that know, oh, I'm the Minister of Transport, I know better than any doctor or whatever. These oaks are warning you, they're telling you you're going to have a fucking crisis on your hand. Listen to them. Stay the fuck at home. Another interesting thing that I saw this morning. Some clever lawyer, here we go. You can't be prevented from walking or jogging inside estates. Now that may be so. The government said, the police have said, just stay, don't do it. What this lawyer has done is he's gone and said, no, hang on. You can go out in your yard if you live in a standalone house. You can go out in your yard, and there should be no difference between what you can do in your yard and what you can do on a common property in the estate. Now, legally, that may be so. But is it the right fucking thing to do? Now, I'm not condoning oaks walking their dogs at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody's around, because we know that this is transmitted through fluid. You cough on somebody, sneeze on somebody, whatever. So if you're at 3 o'clock in the morning walking around your estate with your dog, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. But that doesn't mean that let's all walk our dogs at the same time so we can actually have a social interaction. That's utter fucking stupidity. You're defeating the point of the lockdown. I have cats, I don't have dogs, so I don't really have that problem. I live in a complex where we standalone houses in a gated community. I still don't fucking venture out. The point of being on lockdown is to stay away from people. Don't transmit to other fucking people. Stop the spread of it. So, legal, whatever, why do you want to fucking go out? More stupidity in the world of South Africa. What other madness has happened? Oh, we've spoken about smoking. What else is happening in the news that merits any sort of... yes, this phone tracking. Many of you might not be aware or whatever, but this State of the Nation address or state address, whatever they call the fucking thing these days, the other night, our president hinted at this, and basically what they are doing is they are tracking your geolocation of your cell phone. However, they do it with triangulation of the towers or whatever to see your movement, so that if you get infected, they can track where you've been, who you've come into contact, areas that you've come into contact with, and similarly people that were in that area at the time, so they can sort of track the spread of this thing. And I think it's a very good thing. For privacy, you should just be aware of it. You can do it. No problem with it. They have said they're not going to monitor your calls or anything like that. Whether these fucking twits have the technology to do that, I don't know. We've heard so many stories over the years. My phone was hacked because whatever compromising picture ended up in the news, and this politician decides to say that. I will say with modern phones, yes, the security is pretty tight, and I would say the guys that can do that, they're few and far between in South Africa. That you're not. So them tracking your movement, even more of a reason to stay the fuck at home. Stay inside. Don't go outside. Don't. Well, go outside in your yard. In your yard. Don't fuck around on the road and I'm just going for a drive for whatever reason because you're bored. I mean that's why run the risk. Sure, you're not going to get anything in your car, but it's the people you come into contact with getting to your car or getting out of your car that is the problem. So what else have we got here? Yes, there was another one. Some bunch in Africa, some World Famine Protection bunch. It's an African country. They are saying that we must keep the borders open to keep food flowing and all of this. And yes, I agree with that. The only things that should be transported cross-border at the moment are essential goods, foods, medicines, that sort of stuff. Not I must bring you the screwdriver or fucking whatever. Yes, I agree with that, but I also have a problem with that. If we look at the whole of Africa and we look at where who's producing the food, maize, those sort of things, the majority of it's grown in South Africa. So what are the other countries actually saying? And I'm being devil's advocate here. Are they saying that fuck it, we're starving, so you better bring us food? Very harsh outlook. So that we don't have shit on our side. Now, I have no problem with that. If we have surplus, I think all the nations must help each other where they can. If you have surplus, but you need to look after your own first. We've got fucking millions of people sitting on the street that are homeless. We've got countless millions of people sitting in townships that are not getting money during this time. Take that surplus, feed those oaks first, look after your own first, and then we can look after everybody else. It doesn't help we have we kill off our own fucking people so that we can come out all right. Another interesting conversation I heard on the radio, some stupid fucking Twitter. Fuck all the coronavirus stuff. We must save the economy first. Now, the economy means fuck all if you've got no people. So his idea is to basically let's open the printing presses and just print money and we'll deal with the fallout later. I'm not an economist, but that just doesn't sound right. I think the economy will come out okay if you do the right thing as a government and demonstrate that you have leadership, that you can deal with this as a leader. You've already got us declared as fucking junk. Now, if you can navigate this crisis properly and look after your citizens, the people that need it, and come through as a leader, I think you have a better chance of getting out of this junk status and back to somewhere normal. A better idea of looking after your economy. So don't this bullshit we make a lot of surplus, a lot of food goes to waste, a lot of this. Give it to the fucking people that need it. Take it to the townships, distribute it. Keep those people off the streets. Then they don't have a need to go out to wherever. So this was this other fucking moron on the radio this morning. Blah, 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 blah. Lockdown. SA flights won't be coming back with South Africans stranded abroad. Well, if you're stranded, you're stranded. I can't see you sending a 737 or 747 or 777 or whatever the fuck they got these days to fly to the States to pick up 5 or 6 people. That makes no sense. What else? Yeah, this clever fucking idiot. More interest in these hats. Politics, blah. Lufthansa puts 87,000 workers on reduced hours. Yeah, shit is happening worldwide. World, half of humanity in virus confinement. And we think we're clever in South Africa. Putin extends non-working period to end of April to curb coronavirus. Well, he's got the right idea. Our sport I couldn't give a flying damn about. Okay, let's go to News 24. I'll just refresh it. That was an interesting thing about how contagious this virus is, how quickly it spreads. In this video that I'll link, this girl was talking about a church, a choir practice that these oaks went to. I can't remember the exact thing, but it was like 40 or 60 people, whatever. They went within a week. I don't know how many of them had the coronavirus, and within another week, I don't know how many of them were dead. This stuff spreads quickly. It's very, very, very contagious. Which part can't we get into our head? Let's come down to the important things. News you should know. Like I don't in pictures, videos. German citizens to be repatriated from South Africa. Understand one thing, when they are repatriating people from South Africa, in other words, Germany decides they want their people back, or whoever wants their people back, they are sending their own planes to pick people up. It's not SA that's flying these people out. SA is not paying for that. And the same would be true if we need to, or the converse would be true if we need to get our people from wherever. We, as taxpayers, SAA, who we pay, will send an SAA plane to go pick up people wherever. There's something to keep in mind. Inequality. Yes, I know we have inequality, and that's why the government should take the fucking money that they're pissing down SAA and help the poor and the needy at this time. There was something I was looking for, but I don't know if it's a rumor. Yeah, coronavirus. SA Airlines set to lose 40 billion rand. 40 billion. Take that fucking 40 billion rand, pay the spaza shops not to operate, and buy food, distribute it to the townships, and keep them off the streets. And I promise you, it won't cost you 40 billion. Drive-through testing station. No, I'm not interested. South African women are stuck between two pandemics, coronavirus and gender-based violence. Now we know in South Africa we have gender-based violence, but who do you blame? What do you blame for the gender-based violence? Do you blame the fact that the guy hit the woman and he had a cigarette, or he didn't have a cigarette? No, it's not the cigarette, it's not the booze, it's the person. And we're not dealing with that issue. We have every single excuse in the fucking book about looking at the perpetrator, the person, the monster that did the thing. The South Africa logic is mind fucking boggling. This was from yesterday. In Kiza, 87,000 hospital beds available for coronavirus patients. Where's my calculator? They're saying 60% of South Africans will get this. So, what do I score on this? 60 times 0.6. That's 36 million people. Think of it. 36 million people will contract the coronavirus. Let's take a very conservative figure. Let's say 1%. Times 0.01. 1% of that 60% gets that they need a hospital bed. That's 360,000 beds. That's 4 times more than what we have beds. Simple math. I didn't come up with the 60% thing. Our health folks came up with that, and I think that's what they're taking as stats from the rest of the world. That means we need 4 times more hospital beds. Guys, if you're not listening, if it hasn't sunk in yet, if you can't get it into this fucking grey matter, the numbers should be sobering. Stay the fuck home. Stay indoors. Stay away from people. Number fears hundreds of jobs could be cut as communist starts restructuring. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Increase of 27 coronavirus cases may be calm before the storm. Definitely. More. I'm not interested in world news so much. Business, anything good there? Not really. Just the rand's going for fucking knock. Debt collectors won't come knocking on your door. Good idea. Nobody should be coming around knocking on your door. Western Cape government thinks cigarette sales are okay. But Cape Town stores don't agree. Whatever. I had my rant about that. Okay. Now where is this? Toss. Live in South Africa. Coronavirus. There we go. Live. Becky. I can't pronounce his surname. It's got a click, but yeah. Tell South Africans to behave during coronavirus lockdown. No shit. What is the latest? 9:59. Food parcels being packed. Gauteng is now the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. I thought it always was. That was 9:47, 9:42. Sanders, the Johannesburg woman who voluntarily disclosed her COVID-19 infection to a neighbor, has been subjected to harassment, stigmatization, and victimization. I can't stress this more strongly. This thing doesn't give a fuck who you are. Sanders quite a posh neighborhood. Black, white, pink, rich, poor, fucking green. This thing, if you don't stay home, is going to get you. And there's a good chance that it can fucking kill you. It doesn't mean you now sit wherever and you're missing your side chick. Oh, I'm just going to pop out and get a bread. Fuck to visit your side chick, get infected there, maybe, and bring it home to your wife and kids. Very selfish. Stay home. Rand Merchant Bank urges a coordinated effort to soften virus blow. Whatever. 8:58. They're talking about a church. William Kesey, the health minister, says 1,600 people of the 1,700 people who came into contact with 859 people who attended Jerusalem prayer breakfast in Bloemfontein in March have been traced. It has been established that 5 overseas visitors at the event were infected with a novel coronavirus. I don't know why they call it novel. Why would we novel new? What? There's nothing novel about it to me. Maybe I just don't understand the word. Novel, it's amusing. It's fuck all amusing about this thing. I don't like the word, but anyway, it came from overseas. Probably a different meaning there. We've had 2,289 people have been arrested since the start of the coronavirus lockdown. Financially stressed South Africans under lockdown because of the coronavirus, government regulations prohibit debt collectors from coming to collect. One positive. Okay, South Africa is aiming to boost the testing for coronavirus by introducing faster PCR tests to diagnose COVID-19 than the current one, which takes up to 4 days and is expensive. The new test machine is small and mobile, giving officials the ability to conduct tests in rural areas. It is expected that the new test will give South Africa the capacity to test 30,000 people per day, up from the current 5,000. So that's where I got the number. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. So we're saying we can test between 5,000 and 6,000. And that sort of tallies with this 44,292, roughly, we've been testing since the first. So even then, let's say they can do 30,000 tests a day, and we take our 60 million population. That's 2,000 days. That's 5.5 years roughly to test everyone. Maths doesn't fucking lie. Okay. We stay in lockdown, we don't need to test the whole population. Of course, they're not going to test the whole population because the whole population shouldn't get the fucking thing. But you need to test a fair sample of people. So stay locked up. 8 o'clock this morning, more than 1 million cases and 50,000 deaths worldwide. I'm not interested in the worldwide stats. I'm interested in what applies to South Africa. Yeah, you see, this is confusing. The National Health Laboratory Service has only managed to do about 6,000 tests since the first corona case was reported a month ago. If that is true, then how the fuck do we get to 44,000 tests? Doesn't make sense. So there's a problem with the reporting. It's either the transparency or the explanation, or we're not quantifying this. We're not actually giving it any weight. We're not saying how we did this. And that is a fucking big problem. Don't give us a reason to arrest you. No shit, you shouldn't be on the street to get arrested. Certain health conditions increase risks for severe coronavirus cases. Debt collectors won't come knocking. Friday briefing. Ramaphosa on the convergence of 3 crises. Poor governance, a weak economy, and COVID-19. Not. Okay, read 644. The number of confirmed scored past 1 million and deaths at top 50,000. And then they go and break down whatever country. Look, South Africa, if this thing is spreading like fucking wildfire in the States, and it went very fucking badly in Spain and Italy, And I watched this lady's video, and as she talks about this test that China is rolling out, and how, whatever, this caught Spain sort of unaware. Be very fucking frightened. Stay at home. If this thing can go and fuck you up, left, right, and center in a first world country. Remember, we're not first world. We're not fucking kidding ourselves in South Africa. We are third world country. If this thing can spread like wildfire in the States, and fuck those oaks up, and their hospitals are not capable of keeping up and healing or fixing people. Fixing the people. It's not like you take them there and give them an overall service or whatever the fuck. But whatever doctors cut them up or give them special stuff to treat them. If they're battling overseas to keep up with the fucking thing and people are dropping dead, what is going to happen here? Please think about it for a minute. Don't. Yes, I'm a white face and I live in a nice house in a nice area and whatever. I'm telling you, for your own good, stay home. This thing will fucking kill you. It will. If this gets into the townships and spreads like wildfire, can you imagine the problem that we have? So for your own health, your own health, your own safety, and that of your family, stay home. If we don't, this 21-day lockdown is going to look like a picnic. It is going to be extended double, three, fourfold what we have now. Can you really afford to be at work for 4, 5, 6 months? I don't think so. Because then there's very few companies that will be around left to carry what is left. Because a lot of companies will go bankrupt. We can see that in the news already. And I don't agree with things that are happening, and I don't know what the government's going to do to address it. We know it's illegal, but a lot of companies have given their employees, okay, you can take unpaid leave, you can take your annual leave. Can you afford to be without a salary for more than 4 months? Oh, no problem. Claim from UIF. Let's say you earn, I don't know what the average South African, whatever salary is in South Africa. UIF is not going to pay you more than 1% of what you earn, up to a maximum value, which is something like 10 grand or 12 grand or whatever the UIF payment grant is. People, stay at home, wake up, realize this is very, very fucking serious. And yes, I'm swearing a lot, and I'm trying to emphasize my frustration. I listen to your talk radio, I get on your black Twitter, and I see, maybe we must all go back to work. Nobody's listening to this shutdown. Maybe we must all go back to work. And one of my very special follower of mine on Twitter posed this question this morning. Maybe we should all go back to work and whatever. And another follower of mine, and I follow these people, I just don't want to mention their handles, said, well, maybe it should just become survival of the fittest. Well, the problem is if we all go back to work, you are going to have fucking bodies piling up in the street in South Africa. Now, what is worse? Our economy is fucked as it is, whether we like it or not. It's fucked. We are junk status. The rand is getting knocked left, right, and center as the foreign currency traders are playing with it. It's not going to get better, and we got there through our own fault. Mass fucking corruption in the government. The Oaks building themselves, I don't know how many 100 billion rand fucking houses, looting of the state-owned entities. We got there ourselves. If we go back to work and this fucking thing takes hold and it spreads like wildfire, you will have bigger problems than what we have now. If you have bodies piling up in the street where the National Health Service can't keep up, or the emergency services can't keep up with this, what the fuck is going to happen then? I'm not a doctor, I can't speculate, but if you have a revisit of the bubonic plague or some shit like that, or this stuff gets into your groundwater, what then? The thing is, the government should wake up and do the right thing. the money that they're pissing away with the state-owned entities like SAA that is bankrupt, Scaling that is bankrupt, Eskom, unfortunately, you fucked. But they've at least put somebody there that can try and put it right. But SAA is a lost case. Sell it off and fucking the money that you're pissing away there, use that now to feed the people that need it, to help them to isolate, because that's where this thing is going to come from. Sure, we can speculate it came from rich white people that came and bought it from wherever. Fuck, that doesn't matter anymore now. It is in South Africa. If we don't isolate, it will fucking spread. Simple. You're not asking, it's given. Somebody that's very fit. Could a basic universal income grant work? Blah, blah. Cost of living could fall. I doubt that. I really doubt that. Simple economic supply and demand. We've seen it when this shit started already. All of a sudden, hand sanitizers went from 12 Rand to fucking 80 Rand. So don't, the cost of living can fall. Bullshit, capitalism, blah, 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 blah. You get guys out of there that are greedy. There's a quick buck to be made, and that's exactly what the fucking taxis are doing. And then they rape the fucking system. So, no. Can things fall? No. We've seen it over the years. The fucking petrol price goes up. Petrol price goes up. Cost of goods goes up. Petrol price goes up. Cost of goods goes up. Oh, they bring the petrol price down for a month. That fucking cost of goods didn't come down. Petrol price goes up. It's like having a stop loss, moving stop loss on your shares. The price goes up, the stop loss goes up. Price goes up, the stop loss goes up. Price drops, you sell. That stop loss doesn't come fucking down. How else would you make money? Blah, blah. Give to the givers. Yeah, from those poor oaks. Informal settlements. Take money from SAA that you were going to piss around there and look after these oaks. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because they haven't given us much in the news. All we can say is we have got, if I look at my spreadsheet so you can follow me on day 8. Yeah, day 8, Friday 3rd of April. 1,462 infections, and I can't believe that because we've only tested 0.07% of the population, if that is true. Let that sink in. We've only tested 0.07% of the population. The scary thing is the jump, day-on-day growth from yesterday. We've been 0.9, 0.8, 8.2, 2.8, 2.8, 2%. All of a sudden, 5.94, 6% in one day. And we still have only tested 0.07% of the population. Think about it. The tests we can't fucking believe because we don't know. We have no figure for today. And that makes the infection rate also unbelievable because we don't know if they tested more or less. If they tested more, the infection rate might be actually less than 3.3%. And apparently we've had 2 more deaths since yesterday. But think of it. From 5 people to 7. 2 people. I know it's small numbers, but think how quickly that grew. Our mortality rate is growing. In other words, the amount of people that are dying, obviously. So, guys, I want to stress this once more. Stop fucking around with shit like whether people can buy cigarettes with their groceries or whether they can buy booze with the food or whatever the fuck it is. Or the point is, you should be staying at home. I understand you need to go out and buy groceries, but don't go out every day because you need to see people. You need to have some sort of social interaction. That's not. It's defeating the purpose. Go out and buy your groceries when you need to, and try and do it as little as possible. Spend as much time away from people as you can. Well, people that are not in your inner circle. I understand if you're living at home with your family, you can't avoid them, and I'm not saying you should. What I'm saying is try and keep you and yours safe. Don't expose each other or expose your families to unnecessary risks. Let us learn from the rest of the fucking world. They've been through it and they're still suffering. And if we think we're cleverer than them, then we can't cry when this thing takes off. So I'm going to leave it at that. Today I didn't feel like doing anything with electronics or with control instrumentation. I just felt like having a good old rant, but hopefully to make you more aware or put this thing into perspective of what is happening in South Africa and why we should be learning from the rest of the world. We're not cleverer than them. We're really not. So I'll link in Jess's video at the end of this, and please do give it a watch and watch the whole thing and listen to her reasoning. She's not stupid. I mean, I don't think you get a PhD in genetics. I have a friend that's got a PhD in genetics, and she's not stupid either. There's method to their madness, and there's a reason why governments are stringent on passing tests and things like that. So give it a watch, enjoy it. From my side, as always, stay safe, take care, stay home, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Cheers.